miembros enseguida que se están participando, uniéndose a la sesión virtual, por favor asegúrese de que el micrófono esté apagado en Zoom y su cámara siempre esté prendida durante todo el transcurso de la sesión.
Also, this is a regular court session, although we're doing it on Zoom. So make sure that you compose yourself in a manner that is befitting for being present in court.
También asegúrese, por favor, estamos haciendo una sesión virtual, pero es como si estuviera en persona en el tribunal. Asegúrese que se comporta y se presenta como si estuviera en persona en el tribunal.
You are not allowed to do or say anything that you could not do or say if you were physically present in a courtroom.
No se le permite que usted haga cualquier cosa o diga cualquier cosa que usted no diría y no diría o no haría si estuviera presente en la sala del tribunal.
That would include the manner in which you are dressed. So be sure.
Eso incluye la forma como está vestida o vestido.
Be sure that you are properly clothed and that there is nothing covering your head.
Asegúrese que está apropiadamente con un vestuario apropiado y de que no tiene nada que le esté cubriendo la cabeza.
Mr. Davis, I'm going to have to ask you to take your camera off for a second and put on a shirt that is not a tank, if you could. And then you can just turn your camera back on when you're done with that. Also, make sure that your devices are connected to audio so that you can hear what's going on. I believe there's a Mr. Pure.
I'm sending a chat.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Y asegúrese que está conectado a la opción de audio, que no va a tener el micrófono prendido ahora, pero para que nos pueda escuchar.
There is also make sure that your devices have your names on them. I see a device that has an iPhone, but we can't identify you as just iPhone. We need to know that you're present in the Zoom by identifying your name on your device.
Y por favor asegúrese que pone su nombre en su aparato porque no sabemos quién es la persona que está con nombres de teléfono o otros nombres que no sabemos, podemos identificarlo. Tenemos que tener su nombre completo en su aparato para poder saber quién es usted y marcarlo como que estuvo presente en la audiencia.
One other thing, if you could at this time, please type your name and your email into the chat so that we make sure we have the corresponding information to make contact with you after this process has ceased.
Y por favor también asegúrese de que usted coloca o escribe su nombre correcto, completo y su correo electrónico para poder comunicarnos con ustedes después que se termine esta sesión.
We are going to go through the calendar for the folks that are on the Zoom first. We have some people who are physically present in the courtroom, but we're going to try to see if we can address the folks that are on the Zoom first.
Primero vamos a llamar a la lista de casos de las personas que se encuentran presentes en la sesión virtual de Zoom y después haremos la lista, llamaremos los casos de las personas que están presentes en persona.
Mr. Miller, it seems that you have a client on this calendar. Who is that person?
Yes, sir. Good morning. I have Mr. Congera on the call this morning, Mr. AJ Congera, and I believe we're prepared to close the matter.
Congera, is that with a C?
I'm sorry, it's with K, sir. Konara.
All right, he's on my page 3. And this was reset for plea and abstention. There is a $175 and a200 fine. Ms. Yates, I have a failure to comply on 11/30/2022. What is?
I think I can speak to that. And my hope is that the 200 possibly could be waived. It's not actually Mr. Guerra's responsibility in this regard. I'd have to fall on the sword. I'm not sure how, but we didn't appear on that new, I think it was a November date. I'm not sure why that is, but somehow this one wasn't communicated from, I'd imagine from myself to the client, and he's actually on the call. But he's been eager to resolve it. I can tell you that. I've gotten many calls from him. So my hope is we can close it this morning.
Okay, and this was this an accident? Let's see, it's following too close.
This was, when we appeared previously, we had a discussion. At that time, there was not a claim. This was an absolute, I've got photos, et cetera. This is about as minor as you would expect. This is maybe a scratch. And there's never, at that time until even today, never a claim. Proving that there wasn't a claim wasn't as easy as I expected because this was a company policy. Bottom line is that I have emailed you to the extent I can proof, circumstantial proof there's never been a claim in this case. So based on that, my hope is we can close without a record.
Okay. And
but just my note from our previous conversation was it would be I think 175 plus proof of no claim. And to the extent we can prove no claim, that's what I've provided. And we can, of course, pay the 175. Any type of FTA would be on me. And I can re-forward if you need. Essentially, it's a letter from his supervisor saying they looked into any claim through the insurance company. He works for a large company, and there was no evidence of any claim filed at any time.
okay. All right. So
It was
my notes show that once the information was supposed to be provided within 30 days of the arraignment date, and that's where
that may be on me, since it took us. He works for a large company, and it wasn't as simple as it was a private vehicle, and we can quickly confirm it. It was a bit of a challenge to prove that there's not any claim filed. It wasn't his insurance policy; it was a temporary company policy.
okay.
The mini vehicle.
So he's prepared to pay the 175 today, correct?
He is, and rather than a plea in absentia, he's participating.
All right, so we'll waive that $200 fee since you're saying that it was your issue, not his.
Thank you, sir.
Let's, Ms. Yates, we have the email information to send him so they can go ahead and enter that plea and return it back to us.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna do the basic rules.
Yes, sir.
175 fine. There's gonna be a guilty plea to basic rules. Mr. Miller, we're going to email you the documents so that you can have your client sign off on those. And then if you can get them back to us today, and we're going to put you on a 2-week payment. So it has to be paid within 2 weeks. And if not, of course, there's a $200 fine that's added on to that. So
He even intends to pay this morning.
all right. And so you guys are good to go. We'll shoot you that email for you to process that. Now, if he's going to come, is he going to go to the court to pay it?
That would be my question. What's the quickest way for him to make payment?
Well, so they're going to be in court most of the day. If he's going to go, he would probably have to go tomorrow.
Okay. He needs to physically make payment in person.
Well, that's the quickest way. We're going to email you instructions on how to make payments. Well, actually, Ms. Yates, can you speak on that for me as far as receiving the payment?
He can mail a money order or a cashier's check to our office, but we must receive it within 2 weeks. He can do that.
I will speak to him, and we will do. Should I can certainly reply to the court. I'll look for your email and see what your instructions are, and we'll handle it on our end. No problem. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. So you guys are good to go. You can disengage and just look out for that email.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. So let me go ahead and go through. We are now at 8:20. Ms. Green, you don't see anybody in there on the Pinto case, right? Ociel Lucas?
You mean in the queue? You meant to make an announcement here in the
Yes.
queue?
No,
Okay.
well, I guess it's gonna be in both of them because we have the mic on in the courtroom also.
Sure. Ok. La persona, por favor, el señor Osiel Lucas, si se encuentra presente, por favor déjenos saber, active su micrófono si se encuentra en la sesión de Zoom o si está presente en la sala, déjenos saber, por favor, Osiel Lucas.
All right, so Mr. Kessler, you got an announcement on that one?
Yes, motion to dismiss.
All right, well, we're gonna move to dismiss that for one of prosecution. It is now 8:21. We have no witness involved in that case present, either in the courtroom or on Zoom. So, Mr. Kessler, you can disengage and your client can also disengage. You know the rules on this. If somebody pops up within 180 days, this case can be reinstituted, but I don't see that that's gonna, well, I can't say for sure. In any event, you guys are good to go.
Se puede retirar el señor Quinto Adolfo Correa porque van a sobreseer el caso porque no está presente el testigo, pero este caso se puede volver a poner en la lista de casos en 180 días si aparece el testigo.
Okay, thanks a lot. We'll see you all next time. Thank you.
All right, see you, Jason. Okay, so let's go back to how I have it listed on my Zoom. Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Davis, you have a speed limit charge excess. Okay, so they have you doing 55 and a 40. And that is 15 miles over the speed limit. Here's the thing about that speed. I can reduce that speed down to 14 over and it's non-reporting, meaning that it will not go on your driving record. You don't have to use a NOLA or anything like that. Otherwise, the officer has a court conflict. He is appearing in another court this morning. We would have to reset you if you still want a trial on that. It's up to you.
Your Honor, how much will the ticket be?
The ticket is $106 and, well, I'm sorry. What is that ticket amount? I'm reading the one.
165.
165.
I like the first one. I like the first one better. 106.
Yeah, I was reading about what I have on the calendar doesn't include the court cost, so that's where the difference is. But it's
Okay.
165 total. If you want, I can reduce it down to 14 over. That way it keeps it off of your record and you still have your NOLO to use for the next 5 years. Or we can just reset you for the officer when he's available.
Your Honor, I appreciate it. I'll take the reduction and I can go into the, will you say the best time to go is tomorrow?
Yeah, so we can put you on for 2 weeks. And if you can pay within the next 2 weeks, you can go down there in person starting tomorrow. And pay next 2 weeks and you'll be good to go.
I'll do that. I'll go ahead and do that.
All right, so Mr. Davis, were you able to put your email into the chat?
That I was looking to see what I need to hit to get to the chat. I'm not sure.
That's okay. Just tell me what your email is.
Okay, it's Clark with an E, CLARKE, PLMG, Peter, Larry, Michael, Gordon at Gmail. So that's Clark PLMG at gmail.com.
All right, we have you down for payment within 2 weeks, $165. This is being amended to 14 over, so it's non-reporting.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And you are free to disengage. Just look out for that email, and if you make that payment within the 2 weeks, you'll be good.
All right, you got the right email, sir. You got
Clark with an E, PLMG at gmail.com.
That's it.
All right. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir. All right. Take care.
You too.
Solicitor, we have Justin Booker on the line. His case has been reset.
Yeah, so Mr. Booker, your attorney, Mr. Jordan, should have gotten in contact with you to let you know to disengage. We have reset your case for him to get some additional information from the city. And so you can go ahead and log off. Just keep in contact with your attorney.
Yes, sir.
Have a good day.
Same to you.
So then I have Mr. Wesley is who I have here next. Mr. Wesley, you have this officer code. You have several different charges on here. And are you continuing with your not guilty on this one? You have to take your microphone off, Mr. Wesley. Your microphone is on. Take it off. In other words, you're on mute.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. When I came to court and we presented the evidence, she wanted me to show that more evidence in my case, and we sent it to her, and she still set us off for a trial date.
When you said she, who are you talking about?
In the courtroom, the lady was off to the right.
Ms.
I don't
Green?
know. I think so.
Ms. Green, do you recall
Me and my mother came.
Mr. Wesley? What information was he supposed to be providing?
Let me check. I don't recall, but give me 1 second.
Okay.
It's with the judge. Something about my license. They've been suspending, and they listed all suspension.
Okay, so yeah, we have
you-
a suspended license.
And you brought us something up here, or you emailed it to our email address?
We emailed it to you.
Okay. What email address? What's your email address?
westjovon2@gmail.com. WESJOVON2@gmail.com.
Can we pause and come back to him later? Let me see if I can figure out what he's talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, so Mr. Wesley, just go ahead and put yourself on mute, and then we'll come back to you in just a second, okay?
Okay.
He only said-
All right, then I have Ms. O'Connor. Ms. O'Connor.
Yes,
All right, so Ms. O'Connor, you were supposed to be providing some information about a driver's license, correct?
yes. Although I didn't even know that I had court today until yesterday. Yeah, so I tried to send it to the email, Yates at forceparkga.gov, but it said that the email didn't exist. So I took pictures of that. But I would much rather just like to pay the fine because court gives me anxiety.
Solicitor, I
Yes.
just sent her a chat requesting her driver's license number. She did
I
not
didn't see it.
respond.
I didn't.
Okay, so Ms. Yates, what is the total on these fines?
One moment. $415.
And well, headlights, I don't know that you want to use a note on either one of those. All right, so Ms. O'Connor, the total fine is $415. Would you be able to pay that within 2 weeks, or do you need longer?
Oh, that's fine.
I can't see you, Ms. O'Connor. Your video is off.
Yes, I can do it in 2 weeks.
All right, so are you going to enter a guilty plea or do you want to do a NOLO plea? Well, so your license is out of state, correct?
Yes.
All right, so a NOLO wouldn't help you because NOLOs only work for Georgia licenses. It's not, you cannot put points on is a Louisiana license?
Mhm.
Yeah, so we can't put points on the Louisiana license, so your only option is guilty on that.
That's fine.
All right, so but you're gonna pay it in 2 weeks. We're gonna email you the documents. You were able to put your email in the chat, correct?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna email you the documents on how to make the payment within 2 weeks. Just follow those instructions. If you can't do it within 2 weeks, you need to make sure that you call us back and let us know that, because after 2 weeks, they charge you an additional $200 for not doing it within that time frame, okay?
Okay.
All right, so you can go ahead and disengage. We will email you the instructions and
Mhm.
we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, so the only other person that I have on the Zoom is Mr. Wesley, and Ms. Green is researching that.
Solicitor,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have anything from Mr. Wesley. I emailed him the Zoom link, but I don't have any documentation on my email or the FP Court email.
Mr. Wesley, what were you supposed to, were you supposed to be sending some information about your driver's license?
Yes, I had one of the tickets said driving without a license. A
Driving suspended
Or
license.
suspended.
Yes, and I sent a copy of the with the Fulton counties. They overruled everything and said they waived all suspensions. Lifted all suspensions. I mean, I sent a document in.
I didn't get any of that, sir. I apologize. Last correspondence I had with you was
It must be
in
okay.
reference to the link. You wanted the virtual link.
Yes, I got that, and I think it might have been off my mother's phone that she sent it to you.
Okay, well, what's your mom's email address?
Ooh, that's a good question. EJ West.
EJ West?
Yes. I can check.
No, I don't see anything, sir.
Well, let's do this. Mr. Wesley,
Okay.
we're gonna reset you for you to resend that information. Can you just go ahead and give us the email address from which this document would be coming from?
Okay, it'll come from me then. It'll come from WESJOVON2 @gmail.com.
Yes, I have that.
Okay. And I'll go through my photos and see if I can put a whatever deep my
Yeah,
document
you
thing.
can't send that to us because
Yeah, I'll go through and see if I can find it again.
Mr. Wesley, we're gonna go ahead and reset you. We're gonna email you your reset date to the email address that you've given us. Just make sure that whatever document you are planning on providing, that you can get that to us prior to that next court date, okay?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna do that today. I'm gonna research and get this today.
All right, well, you can go ahead and disengage. Ms. Green, are you done with Mr. Wesley?
I am.
Okay, you can go ahead and disengage and just look out for that email with your new court date. We'll see you then.
Yes, sir.
All righty. Okay, so that would do it for the people on Zoom, correct? Am I missing somebody? Yes, no, maybe? All right,
Everybody's gone.
Mr. Officer Pope, give me a second. I'm gonna try to handle the folks that are in the courtroom.
Okay.
Real quick and make sure that none of them have any officer cases that we need to, I don't want to excuse anybody until I know that we don't need them. Let's see, let me go down. So you said, Ms. Green, you have 4 people in the courtroom?
Yes.
All right, well, you can bring up whoever you want to bring up
All
first.
right, Mr. Bailey?
Mr. Bailey, MV and must be in person. Proper parking on the road. This is Officer Estrada. Mr. Bailey,
Yes, how you doing? Good morning, sir.
good morning. You have an improper parking on the roadway ticket. Are you sticking with your not guilty plea on that?
Yes, sir.
All right. And let me see if I can pull you up here, Mr. Bailey. Mr. Bailey, you don't have a CDL, do you?
No, sir.
Okay. So let me ask you a quick question. Do you recall the area that you were parked in? Did you see the no parking sign that was posted out there?
I do recall the area I was parked in. I was I was in a shopping center,
Mhm.
and I had actually at the moment someone was exiting my vehicle, and basically the officer had pulled behind me. I really wasn't parked. I just stopped.
Okay. So Mr. Bailey, and I'm not laughing to make light of it. I'm laughing because let me explain to you. So we hear this in court all the time. You said that you were dropping somebody off, right?
Correct.
Okay. So the law for that no parking in the fire lane reads, and I'm gonna ad lib, no stopping, standing, or parking. Meaning this, in order for you to let somebody out of the vehicle, you have to at least stop your car, right? And I know most folks, when they hear the word parking, that means that, you know, you put your car in park, you either exit the vehicle or you got your foot on the brake, any one of those things. But the law also encompasses not even being able to drop anybody off. If your car stands still in that area of any given period of time, that's a violation of that law. Now, I'm not saying this to discourage you from going to trial. I'm saying that if there's a posted sign out there, or if there are hash marks that indicate that that area is a no parking area, which includes stopping or standing, then you are legally and technically in violation of that law. Now, I know your perception of it is that when you pulled up, you were dropping somebody off and you planned on pulling right off after that. You never put your car in park, but that's not the law. What I would do is I would encourage you to go and look it up. I don't want you to take my word for it. If you want to go online and look up 40-6-200, it's going to specifically tell you what encompasses a violation that would lead to a citation for that very thing. And I'm saying this all to you because, again, we got 1,000 people to come in court, and with the same citation, and they say the same thing is, I didn't park, I was dropping somebody off, or I just stood there for a second, you know, doing whatever, and then I pulled off. But you can't even stop there. You can't roll up. And in order for you to let somebody out, you had to stop. So I just want to make sure that you understand that.
I got you. Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah, I can give you some time if you want to go and look it up. I can give you some time, but if your explanation during a trial is going to be what you just said, then there's 99.9% chance that you're going to get convicted of that offense.
Understandable.
Okay, so I've looked at your driving history and I don't see that you have anything bad on there, Mr. Bailey. Not that this ticket is anything bad. I mean, you know, it happens all the time, and that's one of the reasons why officers roll up behind folks, because those fire lanes, in case there was an emergency, that's where the fire truck or the ambulance has to park. And if people are stopped there, then that causes a hazard. It can mean seconds to somebody's life on the inside if they're trying to help somebody. I can amend this to a non-reportable offense so that it does not show up on your record. If you want to enter a plea to it, you know, you don't have to do a NOLO, because there are not going to be any points. It's not going to show up on your record, but it's up to you as to what you want to do.
Okay. The main reason I was trying to avoid having to pay it, to be honest, but I had already paid the court to get a court date.
Okay. Oh, because you missed one of your court dates?
No, like I never had a court date at first. I was just supposed to just pay my fine.
Well, so the way that it works is once you issue the citation, you can either pay it before you come to court, then you don't have to come to court, or you have to show up to court. And so if you didn't pay it before you came to court, you didn't get charged for that. If you missed your court date, then you did get charged for that. And that would have been the fine that you had to pay to get back on the calendar.
Yeah, I actually paid that money before I even had a court date. You can actually like check the records to like when I paid it. Like I paid like the money to have an actual court case, because when I came down here, they told me in order to have a court case for this traffic charge, they told me I had to pay. So if that's wrong, then that's what the clerk office told me to do.
What did you pay?
Sorry, solicitor.
Yes.
He had a court date back on 7/20 of 2022. He missed that.
Okay.
And then he, if I'm not mistaken, you wanted to come to court. That's why he had to pay the $200 failure to appear fee.
Right.
And he
Yes.
came back and he got a new court date.
Yeah, so, and that's
No,
what I was
on the
saying,
7/20/22, I was on a Zoom call and then my court date got rescheduled because the judge at that moment told me that I was like, I just couldn't be on the phone at the time. There was too much going on in my background. So that's why my court date got postponed. But I paid that money back like a few months after I first got the ticket.
Okay, so how
I
much
mean,
did
if
you
y'all
end
can
up
check
paying?
whenever y'all receive the money from me, because I signed it, it should be in the
Okay.
clerk's information.
So the court, we received the FTA fee on 8/18 after he had missed that first court date.
How much did he pay for the FTA fee?
He paid $200.
Okay. What is the fine amount for this, Ms. Yates?
The fine amount is only
165.
I'm sorry,
165.
145.
165.
165?
Yes.
All right, can we apply that fine, that court costs, I'm sorry, the reset charge?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mr. Bailey,
That's fine.
we're gonna apply what you paid to get back onto the calendar to the fine amount, so you don't have to pay anything, and the difference will be refunded back to you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Now, let's just make sure that we have a good address for you, because that's where the refund is gonna be sent to.
Well, actually, he's gonna have to come and sign for it.
Oh, okay. All right, so you have to physically sign for the refund there at the courthouse, okay?
Okay.
All right, and so you're good to go. Ms. Green, when do you want him to do that? Do you want him to come back?
I just need to confirm your phone number. No, don't tell me, just write it down, because we're live and all of that. Yes, I will reach out to him once that refund has been processed and the check is ready.
Okay. All right, and let's see.
Good to go.
All right, so yeah, Mr. Bailey, you're good to go.
All right, have a good evening.
You too, sir. All right, who else do we have in the courtroom, Ms. Green?
We have Mr. Jerry Hilton.
Mr. Hilton. All right, Mr. Hilton, so you were charged with loitering. This was back in October of 2022. And I believe that you earlier said that you were pleading not guilty. Are you sticking with the not guilty plea, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, Mr. Hilton, we're going to reset you for your trial. Do you have well, let me ask you something, Mr. Hilton. Is there a regular address that we can contact you at?
Yes, sir.
Sir, is it the same address that's on the citation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
8721 Drive.
Okay.
Oh, there he is.
Good morning, Mr. Prosecutor.
Morning, Judge. We are resolving.
I will sit here and you let me know what you need me to do.
Okay. So Judge, Mr. Hilton has a loitering charge. We do have the officer who's available. I don't know if you want to go ahead. He's still pleading not guilty. If you want me to go ahead and reset him for a trial, or do you want to hear that matter?
We can go ahead and hear that matter now, if
Okay.
the officer's ready.
Okay. Officer Thicklin. Officer Thicklin.
And if not, if you need to.
Yes, sir.
Okay, there he
All
is.
right. Officer Thicklin, we're gonna go forward with Mr. Hilton's loitering charge. You ready to go? You got your citation?
Give me 1 second, sir.
Sure. And Judge, most of all the other matters have been resolved. All the online matters have. I think we have probably 2 other people left in the courtroom.
All right, well, thank you.
And I have not received a report on those other 2 as to what they plan on doing with their charge.
Okay.
How's Minneapolis? Is it still cold?
It's not to me, but it is to certain people that are with me.
Oh, well, You lived in Alaska, so
Yeah.
ain't nothing cold like that.
Yeah, but it's all good.
Dicklin, you want us to come back to you? You need some time?
I'm pulling up the report right now as we speak.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good
May I
morning,
be-
Ms. Ida. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you, Your Honor? Good
I'm
to see
doing
you.
very well.
May I be excused? There's no one really that needs my services right now.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Take care.
You too.
Let us know when you're ready, Thicklin.
I'm ready, sir.
All right, everyone that's going to testify, if you'll please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? If so, say I do.
I do.
I do.
All right, Mr. Prosecutor, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Mr. Hilton is on with us before because he received a citation on October 31st of 2022. This was within the city limits of Forest Park. Officer Thicklin issued the citation. Officer Thicklin, on the date in question, you have an opportunity to come in contact with Mr. Hilton.
Yes, I did.
And was that contact within the city limits of Forest Park?
Yes, it was.
You're a post-certified peace officer with arrest powers.
Yes, I am.
Can you briefly state the nature of that contact?
Yes, on that day in question, I was conducting a patrol in that area. It is called BCS Recycling. It was approximately 8:39. The business was closed. I observed the defendant. He was hiding under a bush. This is the area where a lot of people steal from the dumpsters. And he was hiding under a bush, and we made contact with him. I asked him why he was there. He couldn't provide me a valid reason. The business is closed. Nobody's supposed to be back there. And I detained him, and I arrested him on that city ordinance charge of loitering and prowling.
Nothing further for this witness, Judge.
All right, sir, do you have any questions you'd like to ask Officer Thicklin?
No, sir.
All right. Does the city have any other evidence?
No, sir.
All right, sir. Sir, the city has rested. Would you like to testify and say what happened, or would you like to exercise your right and remain silent?
I'd like to say what happened. I was riding with a gentleman to work, and on the way home, he stopped by there.
Okay.
And he told me there's no trespassing signs, and he's been there many times. And so when the police pulled up, everybody took off. It was like 4 of us. So I took off with them, which I shouldn't have, but I worked 2 jobs. I had no reason to, do no dumpster diving.
What were you all doing there?
They were getting scrap metal out of the dumpster. Like I said, I worked with that gentleman that day, and on the way home, he stopped by there, dropped me off, he stopped by there. And there's no trespassing sign. He said he's been there many times and never got, no trouble with nothing. But
When you say, how did you all get to that location?
in his truck.
Was his truck still there when Officer Thicklin pulled up?
He parked it behind the place over here. There's another building with more dumpsters, and he had that dumpster.
Okay. All right. All right. Mr. Prosecutor, do you have any questions?
I do, Judge. Mr. Hilton, is the gentleman that you're referring to Mr. Tyler Wyatt?
He was one of the gentlemen with us, but no, sir, it was another gentleman, Daryl Bailey, I believe is his last name.
All right. Did Mr. Bailey get charged with anything?
No, sir, they didn't catch Mr. Bailey.
All right. So the only 2 people that got charged were yourself and Mr. Wyatt. Is that correct?
I'm not sure if that's his name, but yes, sir.
And in reference to the gentleman that you said that brought you there, he was not charged, nor was he found, correct?
Right, yes, sir.
And so you're stating that some unknown person dropped you and another person off. And when the officers made contact with you, as Officer Thicklin stated, you were hiding in bush.
So no, he didn't drop us off. He was there as well, but they just didn't find him. He took off running.
Okay. No further questions, Judge.
All right. Sir, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Like I said, I worked 2 jobs. So I had no reason the dumpster died, but no, sir.
Where do you work?
I work for Andy Fran Security, and I also work for a little furniture, G&G Furniture on Main Street in Forest Park. So,
What do you do? Tell me what you do at both locations.
I load furniture at the G&G, deliver it, and at Andy Fran, I'm a gatekeeper.
And how much money are you paid per hour?
I make 17 at Andy Fran, and the other guy just pays me per day. Depends on what we do, what we deliver.
Do they pay you with a check or do they pay you with cash?
The gentleman at G&G pays me cash, and Andy Fran pays me with check.
And where do you live?
I live in Forest Park.
Where in Forest Park?
872 Warren Drive. It's off
And-
top of the street.
And who do you live with?
I live with a lady that's bedridden. I take care of her at night.
All right. So you understand that even if someone drives you to a location, you did have a choice
Yes,
of
sir.
standing there and not doing anything.
Yes, sir.
Officer Thicklin says you were hiding in the bushes.
Yeah, when everybody took off running, it kind of scared me. I ain't never been in much trouble in my life. But yes, sir, I was wrong. I should have, got out at the station or the store or something, and waited till they got through doing what they're doing. But this gentleman told me he's been there many times. He's never got no trouble. But the business was closed. It was dark, so yes, sir, I was in the wrong.
And what was your plea to this?
Not
What
guilty.
plea did you enter to this?
Not guilty, sir.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Is there anything else you'd like to say? Is there anything else you would like to say?
Yes, sir. I spent 3 days in jail on that charge.
You spent 3 days in jail because you could not bond out.
Yes, sir, I signed my own bond.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right. And do you rest your case?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. The court has heard the testimony in this matter regarding the loitering and prowling charge. Based on the evidence heard by the court today, the court does find you guilty of the violation. The fine amount is $285, and you will be provided with a criminal trespass warning. Are you able to pay that $285 today or within 2 weeks, or do you need a longer period of time? Excuse me?
2 weeks.
All right, you will be given a 2-week notification to pay the sum of $285. You also will be given your plea form. You entered a not guilty plea, but the criminal judgment will show that you were found guilty. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
You understand that if you do not comply with the court order in 2 weeks, that you can be brought back before the court for some type of contemptuous behavior. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions regarding the sentence of this court?
No, sir.
All right, sir, if you'll please have a seat, court personnel will direct you momentarily.
Thanks, sir. Have a great day.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Officer Thicklin.
No problem, sir.
And so, Judge, we have, I believe, 2 other people in the courtroom. Ms. Green, who do you want to bring up next?
I can't hear you. I'm sorry, solicitor.
That's okay. I was just asking, who do you want to bring up next in the courtroom?
We have Sean Jones.
Ms. Jones?
Mr.
Jones.
Miss Jones, I'm sorry, Judge.
Yeah, Ms. Jones,
Yes.
you are charged with a driving on suspended license charge. What is your plea to that charge, young lady?
Guilty.
Or how about the failure to maintain insurance?
Guilty.
You're also charged with an expired tag charge. What is your plea to that?
Guilty.
Is she eligible for a no-low plea?
Let me look at that real quick, Judge.
And I think this is a young lady who requested jail time in lieu of a fine of $1,478. Is that correct, young lady?
I changed my mind. I was just pay the fine.
You understand that that might not be your choice, don't you?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. How old are you?
19.
So what made you request jail time in the first place?
because I just got a lot going on. I got a daughter and stuff, but I realized I can't go to jail with having a daughter and stuff.
Well, let me ask the question to you this way. You do understand that sometimes decisions you make at age 19 could be very impactful at age 30 or age 40. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
And
That's why I'm trying to work. I learned my lesson. Like,
well, I think jail should be a last resort, especially for youthful offenders. If you've done something, you should just accept responsibility and deal with it. Do you understand that?
yes.
But saying I want to go to jail to get out of paying a fine, especially when you have a daughter, seems like to some extent not the best path for you. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. Now, it's strange that you have a judge here who doesn't want you to go to jail, but you are a young person saying at one time that I did want to go to jail. So I don't understand that difference. Can you please explain that to me?
I was just overwhelmed because at first, when I first came to court, I was told that it was like 2,600.
Okay. And you saw that I reduced it down some.
Yes.
Okay. So why were you still overwhelmed the last time we talked?
I'm not no more. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
Well, young lady, the fine amount is $1,478. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You will be placed on probation for 24 months.
Okay.
3 months of your probation will be mandatory. Do you understand that? Is not a word.
Yes.
All right. After 3 months, if you've paid your fine and you're current with all of your probation monthly payments, your probation can end. Do you understand that?
Yes.
I spread it out so that your monthly payments would not be that high. Are you working?
Not at the moment, but I'm about to get back working.
I think you do need to get a job. Are you in school?
No.
Okay. Then if you're not in school, then you do need to work and get yourself a job. Do you understand that? Is she eligible for a NOLO plea?
Judge, she is not eligible on the insurance charge. She is eligible on the suspended license, and it looks like her license is still currently suspended.
Okay, then she will be served with a notice of suspension. Young lady, the guilty plea will be accepted by the court. Do you understand that by entering into the plea that you're doing this without the assistance of a lawyer?
Yes.
Do you also understand that by entering into the plea that you are waiving your right to a trial?
Yes.
Are you entering into the plea freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
And do you believe it is in your best interest to enter into the plea?
Yes.
Do you have any questions you'd like to ask me?
Yes. So once I finish the payments.
And you stay current with your monthly probation fees, you can get off of probation.
Oh, so is probation fees too?
Yes, there are. When you meet with the probation officer today, they will explain the probation fees to you. I believe they are about $45 per month for every month that you're on probation.
Okay, and with the ticket costs, and if I was eligible for NOLO for the no tag, do that take the ticket price down? Or I
It
wasn't?
will not. Your ticket price will not come down, but your license are going to be further suspended simply because you're facing a license suspension. So there's going to be a little while that you're not going to have a license. And in fact, right now, your license is in suspension. You've never gotten it out. You understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. Why haven't you gotten your license out of suspension?
I'm not driving right now, but
that's not my question. My question is, why don't you go get your license out of suspension?
I'm gonna do it. It's only 200. I'm gonna do it. I called the DMV and talked to them about it. I just didn't do it.
Okay. Do you have an older adult or someone that kind of gives you advice about things like this?
No.
Okay. You don't? There's no mom and dad anywhere around?
No.
Is there a grandmother or a grandfather or an auntie or an older relative?
I could try to talk to them, but it's like I don't like putting people in my business. I know I'm young, but
You do understand that right now, I think you need their advice.
Mhm. Maybe.
So it may be worth your while to talk to them.
Yeah. Maybe. And if I pay all the fees, how long will it take my license to get back unsuspended?
My guess is it'll be in suspension for 6 months from the time that you do everything to get it out of suspension.
Okay. Okay. And how long do I have to pay the ticket off?
You have up to 20 months to pay it, but you can, if it's paid off after 90 days, you can get off of probation.
Okay. Okay. Well, I don't think I have any more questions.
Let me ask you something. What type of job do you think you're going to do to be able to pay this off?
I actually got a certification in medical assistant, but I just never took it serious.
Why not?
I never applied myself and went up to places and got an application. I graduated the school.
How old is your baby?
She's 3.
So how do you take care of her?
Well, I work at temp services, so I got a little money coming in.
And are you the sole person taking care of her?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So how do you pay for where you live? How do you pay for all of that?
Well, it's not like I work sometimes, like I work at temp services. I don't have a real job right now, but I'm really working on it. Like I'm working on it really bad.
When was the last time you had a full-time job?
Last year. I was
And
working
where were you working last year?
the airport security.
And why did you stop working there?
They fired me for showing up late every day.
And why were you showing up late?
Because I had to take my daughter to school. And you can't park at the airport if you work in there. They don't let you park at the airport. So we had to ride like the shuttle. And I used to come like at 7:10 and I had to be there at 7 o'clock.
Okay. So the rule was to be there at 7 o'clock and you were late.
Yeah.
So they fired you.
Yeah. But I was working there for the whole year, like the whole 2022. I was proud of myself for keeping that job for that whole year. But I guess since a new year came, they said they got them.
Well, if you were late a lot, they just probably felt they could find someone who'd come to work on time.
Yeah. I regret it. I liked it.
What were you doing at the airport?
It was security. Basically, people who come to park at the airport. I just watched the gates.
Did he pay pretty good?
Yeah, they were paying 15 normal.
Okay. And you haven't been able to find any jobs at any of these e-commerce places like Coca-Cola or Amazon or Walmart?
I don't want to be a customer service. I don't want to do customer service.
What about working in the warehouse?
I'll do that.
That's
what I've been doing. I got a job interview today for a security place. I want to get back on with security because I really like that. But
how are you going to get back and forth?
Yeah, my friend.
And who takes care of your daughter while you're gone?
I got her in school. She got caps. She in daycare.
Okay. All right. All right. Do you have any other questions, young lady, you'd like to ask me?
Yes, is it mandatory? Well, I know it's mandatory, but it's a show up. You have to show up.
Oh, do I gotta show up to see a probation officer?
Yes. When you meet with a probation officer, they will set you up for an appointment and you will need to report.
So they'll be calling me, or how that works?
I think when you leave today, Ms. Green will give you information for you to set up an appointment with probation, and then you will need to report to probation to get it established.
So how do you start paying? How do you plan to pay off?
And
who are you paying to?
Whoever this is talking, why don't you just ask them to come to the
Okay.
screen? So
Hey, how you doing? I'm sorry.
I'm fine. Who are you? Who
I'm
are
her
you?
friend. I'm
Okay.
Sean Jones' friend. I'm Adriana.
Are you going to assist her with this?
Yes, always.
Okay, then good. Then she will be given directions to go meet with probation, and probation will provide her with all of the payment information.
Okay. We do report back to here, correct?
No, after you leave here today, you will report to probation.
Probation.
Mhm.
That's something for you to-
And there's no probation, like no drugs, no alcohol, stuff of that nature.
Absolutely. You cannot drink and there can be no non-prescribed drugs in your system. That is correct.
Okay, I was just asking.
I know, but you already knew that and you don't do that anyway, do you?
Mm-mm.
So it doesn't matter, right?
No, sir.
You don't drink and you do not do non-prescribed drugs, correct?
Correct.
All right. You have any other questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right, no problem.
This is for probation. So that-
Next, Your Honor, we have Crystal Reyes.
All right. I'm gonna step away and grab an ink pen. I'll be right back.
Ms. Reyes?
Hello.
Hey, while we have you here, you were on back in January, correct?
Yes. And
Did you bring any documentation of your insurance for the date that you received the citation?
the day I received the citation,
Yeah, you were charged with failure to maintain insurance and expired or no license plate.
yes, I provided insurance that day, but the cop said that he needed to talk to the insurance we caught. The truck, it wasn't mine. I was working for a company at the moment, a dealer company, and it had a test drive on the truck. I presented them the dealer insurance.
Okay. I think I remember this case. The vehicle that you were driving was a
Yes,
vehicle that
and
belonged to your employer.
also, for the first court that I came and appeared, I let y'all know that I was gonna, bring my boss, cause like, even when I got stopped the first time, I let the officer know, like, this is not my truck, I'm working, it's working hours. Like, I'm giving you the information they provided me. And he was just like, oh, well, I'm gonna have to, do what I had to do because I already ran it up, and I understood that it's his job. He was like, whoever's in charge, whoever's your boss, whoever's for the situation, well, he will pay for everything. I was like, well, that's what I.
Okay, well, so Ms. Reyes, I believe that what I was asking was in reference to, because I do remember you being on before. Were you able to obtain any information from your boss, or did your boss come with you this time?
Okay, so this is where I come. So unfortunately, the day before I came, when we talked and we rescheduled for today's court, the day before that, he got incarcerated. I'm not sure why. He just told me he reopened the case. I didn't ask him further details. And I was just like, tomorrow's my court. Like, yes, the day before that, he told me that he was gonna go to court. He wasn't sure about the charges or anything. I wasn't informed about nothing because guess it's none of my business. It's his personal. It's outside of work. So, the next day, I wasn't even sure was he in jail. I wasn't even sure nothing until further on. That was my suspect because he didn't act like he didn't call me, he didn't nothing. So I just thought, okay, he probably like his court went through and he got incarcerated. And I did mention it to the lady up here. And she told me, she's like, you should have told him that. She's like, well, I didn't know. Like, I can't say, oh, look, he's in jail without fully knowing. So now that I'm sure that you know, I'm letting y'all know that and I feel like, in between it, like, been confused because he was supposed to help me. I was working for the dealer. At this moment, I'm not working for the dealer no more. In the same plaza where I was working, I'm currently renting a suite to open a business. So that's how I'm getting my new income. I'm opening a business in the same suite that I used to work in. I signed the lease yesterday, but like I'm saying, like, it's so overwhelmed. Everything is overwhelming. He had no problem coming and showing everything, but life happened and I don't know. Like, They called the insurance that the dealer had provided, the secretary, because.
If you lose the reboot is required after recent updates. Okay, no, okay.
Okay, so.
So Ms. Reyes, let me just ask you, did you own a vehicle that had insurance on it?
The vehicle's not mine, and I don't own a vehicle. I use my parents.
Okay, so you understand that if you're driving a car that does not have insurance, you can be charged with it.
Yes, but the truck was supposed to be covered with dealer insurance.
I know, but you do not have that insurance. So you have a couple of choices. Do you want us to bind this case over that will give you more time to get that information? Or would you like for us to continue this and give you a little time to get it? Because eventually you're gonna have to deal with this ticket.
No, I'm not, that's why I'm not avoiding dealing with the ticket. I'm just, believe that it's not my fault because there's a dealer companies and we were like, I wasn't even using it for personal use and we weren't even using it we were just seeing, because we purchased the truck like days before that. And we haven't officially transferred or like to title because we wasn't sure if we were keeping it or selling it because it's a used dealer.
So let me just say this to you. I appreciate everything that you're saying as an explanation, but you have to understand that if you're operating a vehicle that does not have insurance, there are going to be consequences. Or if you cannot show that it has insurance. Do you understand that?
I brought up the insurance dealer that had, and I spoke to him and.
Do you have any paperwork that can verify there was coverage on that truck on that day? Do you have any of that with you today?
I had already seen a copy. I believe I have the copy that I have with the dealership insurance provided me for that day.
All right, where do you have a copy with you today so that we can verify coverage?
No, I don't.
Okay. Ms. Green, do we have any paperwork that she sent that verifies coverage on this vehicle?
Miss Gates, can you check her file?
We have documentation. The previous, I did check into it for the previous hearing, and that vehicle was not covered.
Okay, so now we know, Ms. Reyes, there was no coverage based on what you said. Is there anything else that you have?
That's the only thing. I spoke to my insurance and he's mentioned that as long as the dealer tag was on there, that it should have been covered, but
Okay.
I understand.
Yeah,
Like
so
I said, it's
we
not
know,
my truck.
yeah,
I was just working and
okay.
my flyby, he was not even here to even help me out in the situation anymore.
Okay, so let me ask you, do you want me to keep this case in Forest Park or do you want me to bind it over, which might give you a little bit more time to get your paperwork together?
When it's binding over, where would it be sent to?
It will be sent to the Clayton County State Court over on Tara Boulevard. And you will probably have, I don't know, but it may be several months before you have another court date. Because today is your trial date, the city is prepared to proceed with the trial. So either we will have a trial in Forest Park, which will be a bench trial, which is a trial in front of me, a judge without a jury, or you can request that it be bound over, and then you're eligible for a jury trial if you'd like to have one when it gets over to Clayton County.
I'm not sure, like, what's the best option, regardless of if it's bounded over. Only evidence and is the insurance that spoke to the lady.
Well, one thing I will tell you is that speaking to someone,
It's not a guarantee.
it's not a guarantee, and you telling me what they said is not admissible. So
Well,
the other option might be, Ms. Reyes, the other option might be is if you'd like for the court to appoint you an attorney to assist you with this, that too may be an option. And that's something I recommend that you strongly consider, that maybe you can't do this yourself and maybe you should let a lawyer represent you.
Okay, I would like that option.
Okay. Do you prefer a lawyer who is bilingual, or do you prefer a lawyer who speaks? Okay, why don't we appoint Attorney Kessler to represent her in this, Ms. Green?
Yes, sir.
We're going to continue this case, young lady. You will be they're going to give you a financial affidavit form. Please fill it out, but it sounds like you will meet the requirements. This case will be reset. Attorney Kessler, Jason Kessler, will be appointed. He will have your paperwork within 48 hours, and they will provide you with his information today. Do you understand that?
I understand. Thank you so
All
much.
right, and we will see you back here on your next trial date, ready to go, either on a trial or for you to take some other disposition. Do you understand that?
I understand.
All right, do you have any other questions?
No, sir.
All right, if you will have a seat, they will give you the form for Attorney Kessler. Thank you.
We have two people that Mr. Swanson was trying to get in online, but he came in person. So we
Okay.
have Mr. Swanson on page 5.
Okay, Mr. Swanson,
You doing?
how are you doing, sir? You're charged with obstruction. What is your plea? Guilty, not guilty, or nolo contendere?
Not guilty.
All right, do we have Officer Arnold prepared?
I'm sorry.
I'm asking Ms. Green.
He should be on. Is he
All
not
right.
online?
I'm here on.
There you go. Mr. Prosecutor, do you need a moment to look at this? Or are you all ready to move forward? All right.
Solicitor, you're on mute.
Let me go ahead and pull it up real quick, Judge. I believe we
Okay,
should.
that's fine. Take your time. And you said we have one other person, Ms. Green?
Yes, he is Mr. Jenkins. Solicitor, you were representing him at one time and you
Yeah, we're gonna save him
recused
for
yourself,
last.
but he's here today.
Okay, we'll deal with that one at the very end, okay? All right. And then I'd like to go through the docket for you all to just tell me so I can update my docket too.
Okay.
How are you doing, Ms. Yates?
I'm well. How are you, Judge?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing, Ms. Payton?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
Glad to hear that.
Yes.
The remaining officers that are on the line, may they be excused?
They all can be excused except for Officer Arnold. That is correct.
Judge, we're ready to go forward.
All right, officers, thank you all. Everyone can be excused except for Officer Arnold. All right.
Can you see me, Judge?
Excuse me?
Can you see me, Judge?
I can see Officer Arnold. Yes,
Great.
sir, I can see you. Thank you. Everyone that's going to testify, if you'll please raise your right hand. Mr. Swanson, if you'll please raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? If so, say I do.
I do.
All right. Mr. Swanson, before we begin this trial, do you have any questions you'd like to ask me regarding the process?
No, sir.
All right. Mr. Prosecutor, you want to go ahead and proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Swanson's before the court because on November 6th of 2021, he received a citation for obstruction of an officer. Officer Arnold was the officer who issued that citation. Officer Arnold, on the date in question, do you have an opportunity to come in contact with Mr. Swanson?
Yes, sir.
Was that contact within the city limits of Forest Park?
Yes, sir.
Are you a post-certified peace officer with arrest powers?
Yes, sir.
Can you briefly state the nature of that contact?
We were dispatched to a domestic disturbance. A female called and said that her boyfriend took her phone. When we got there, we spoke to the female and also the male. While we were talking to the female, the male kept walking away and we told him to stay at the bottom of the stairwell, which he did for a second. While we were talking to the female, he started walking away. We gave him several commands to stop walking, but he continued to walk. We finally caught up to him. He was standing in the parking lot. We asked him for his name and his date of birth. He gave us his name, but he kept refusing to give us his date. After asking him several times, he actually put his hands behind his back and told us to go ahead and arrest him. So that's what we did. We placed him in handcuffs and told him he was under arrest for obstruction. He was highly agitated. Once he was in the car, he kind of calmed down and told us that he had just found out that his girlfriend may have been cheating on him. So he calmed down and he became, you know, cooperative. So we just cut him a ticket and released him.
All right, Mr. Prosecutor, do you have any, Mr. Swanson, do you have any questions you'd like to ask the police officer?
Yeah, I mean, when they told me to,
No, listen, Mr. Swanson,
Hmm?
do you have any questions you'd like to ask? You're going to get a chance to make
Okay,
a
no,
statement,
sir.
but do you have any questions?
no, sir.
All right. All right, Mr. Prosecutor, do you have any other witnesses?
No other witnesses, Judge.
All right. Does the city rest?
The city rests.
All right, the city has rested, Mr. Swanson. Why don't you tell me what happened? And if you elect not to testify, sir, you have a statutory right to remain silent. But if there's something you'd like to say, go ahead and say it.
Yes, I was just only telling them that, why do I have to give y'all my date of birth or my name, because I ain't committed no crime. So why is he saying I was like running or whatever he said, but I wasn't. I stand there. Then I told him I don't have to give you my name if I haven't committed a crime.
Okay. So Mr. Swanson, let me kind of dissect what you just said, okay? First off, how old are you?
I'm 35.
Okay, and we finished high school.
Yes, I did.
And did you go to any college or any vocation or military?
Sir.
Okay, so let's you and I start from here. What do you do professionally?
Working 9 to 5.
I know. Where do you work?
At a warehouse.
Okay, and what
operator?
And what do you do at the warehouse?
I'm a forklift operator.
Okay, so in order for you to become a forklift operator, did you have to get certain type of training on how to drive a forklift?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so you understand that if I had questions regarding a forklift operator, I'd probably come and ask you because I don't have that certification. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you equally understand as a police officer, their job is to conduct investigations to determine if crimes have been committed. Do you understand that?
Right. And
No, let me finish asking my question. Do you understand that?
yes, sir.
And you understand that part of that investigation is asking people their name and their date of birth. And if someone fails to comply, they are interfering with that investigation. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. One thing we don't want, Mr. Swatson, is private citizens dictating what constitutes a crime. Let the policeman do that. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
So I have no problems with your approach other than when they asked you what was your name and your date of birth, if you knew you did nothing wrong, there was nothing wrong with you supplying it. Do you understand that?
Sir.
And you're standing here facing a fine of $480 just for not giving your name and date of birth. Now, does that make sense to you?
Oh, sir, I have a question.
Okay, what is your question?
If I haven't committed a crime, why do I have to give it to him?
Because you don't get to decide whether or not you're committing a crime or not. That's why.
Again, don't I have a right to remain silent, though?
You do have a right to remain silent, but you do have a right to provide information regarding your name and date of birth. Now, if they had asked you what you did, you have a right not to talk. But your name is public information. Do you understand that?
Yes, but I don't have to give it if I haven't committed a crime.
Okay. Again, let's go back to the forklift operator. You don't get to make that call. So let me ask you this. This is going to determine where we go from here. Okay. Did someone tell you that, or did you read that? Where did you get that information from?
Just a right.
Excuse me?
It's my right.
Okay. And where do you get your, what did you look to determine what your rights were?
I just know.
No. I'm just asking, did you research this and you looked at the Bill of Rights? Did you look at what did you look to that kind of helps to support what you're saying?
I mean, do
did
I have
you
to
study this someplace? Where did you get this information from?
Do I have to answer that question?
You do have to answer it because I'm asking.
But you said I have a right to, I don't have to, right?
No, you do have to answer it right now. You're in court. You've subjected yourself to a trial. And yes, you have to answer this information. Because the last thing you want to do is put yourself in a situation where you're not cooperating in a court proceeding. So I'm just asking you, what is the source of your information? And that's a very honest
Research,
question.
Research.
Okay, what research?
Research.
What research?
Just research, just in general.
Okay, but what did you look to? I want you to tell me what you look to base this decision on.
Like I said,
Was it-
research.
Okay, where was the research? What did you read?
That's internet. Off internet, the line, internet.
Okay, so your research was on the internet.
Mhm.
Did you go to a library and do any research?
No, sir.
Okay, you do understand that you should not believe what, let me back. You do everything you're telling me today is based on what you got from the internet. Is that correct?
Not necessarily, but I mean, I talk to other people too, just in general. But the thing is, that if I haven't committed a crime, I don't have to give you my name or my date of birth if I haven't committed no crime. I don't have to answer questions if I haven't did nothing.
Okay.
I-
Okay.
That's
And let
my
me
problem.
ask you, do you still feel that way today?
Like far as like.
No,
you
as
asked
you
me
stand,
questions.
yeah. What I'm asking you now is, as you stand in court right now, do you feel like if a police officer asks you, what is your name and what is your date of birth, that you do not have to cooperate?
Well, not in court, because I mean, I'm at trial, but I'm just saying, like in public or something like that. If I haven't committed a crime, I don't have to give you my information if I wasn't suspected of a crime or committing no crime.
Okay.
Judge,
So, okay, all right.
may I add something to the discussion here? Because I think I understand where Mr. Swanson is coming from. I think that he has, his position is he has the right not to participate in an investigation. And the counter to that, and this is coming from the prosecution standpoint, because we bring the cases forward for the officers who issue it. You do have the right not to participate in the investigation if you want to be silent and not talk to the police. But the police have a right to arrest you based on that. You can keep silent if you want. That doesn't stop you from being charged. You can come to court and decide not to testify. That doesn't stop you from being convicted. There is a balance to each side of things. Your action prompts a reaction, and that reaction may not be what you're perceiving to be the case based on your decision not to be involved. So although you may have that right, there are consequences for you exercising those rights, and those consequences may not be to your favor. And that's just where the prosecution is on this, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Well, with that, Mr. Swanson, is there anything else you'd like to say, sir? Mr. Swanson, is there anything you'd like to say, or would you like to just remain silent?
No, sir. I said I have nothing else to say. No, sir.
Okay, all right. Mr. Swanson, you've been charged with obstruction of an officer. You've entered a not guilty plea to the charge based on the evidence that's been submitted and the colloquy that's taken place in court today. The court does find you guilty of the violation. The fine amount is $430. Are you able to pay this in 2 weeks, or do you need a longer period of time, sir?
I ask you, what is construction? Like, what is that based on?
Obstruction is not cooperating in a lawful investigation.
Okay.
All right. So are you able to pay that, sir, in 2 weeks? Or do you need
I have no part in?
Okay. That's a decision that you made, sir.
Yeah, I'm saying that I have no partake in. So
yeah.
So you charge me with something that I have no partake in, basically.
He charged you with an offense that he believed that you committed based on information that was provided. He came to you to get information to make a decision. You chose not to cooperate. You've come to court. I respect your position. This is just what happened. So you need to pay this fine. Can you pay this within 2 weeks, or do you need a longer period of time?
I can pay it in 2 weeks.
All right. They will give you a plea form to which you will enter a not guilty plea. You have been found guilty by this court. Now understand, if you disagree with this disposition, you do have a right to appeal this decision to a higher court. Understand, until the higher court has modified this position.
But if you understand.
Excuse me, Mr. Swanson, let me finish.
Okay.
All right. Just If you decide to appeal this to a higher court, you must carry out what this court is ordering until a higher court has modified it. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you will be given a 2-week agreement to pay the sum of $430. You do have the right to appeal it. Even if you appeal it, you must carry out this judgment. And if it turns out to be that you're right, this money will be refunded to you if a judge decides at a later time that my decision is wrong. And I have no problems with judges on higher courts reviewing my decision. Now, it sounds like there was something else that you wanted to say. Go ahead, sir.
So I was saying that, I forgot what I was saying, but I forgot.
Okay, then if you will have a seat, Ms. Green will give you your plea form. Mr. Swanson, let's do this.
No, I do.
No, Mr. Swanson, let's do this. Let's you and I respect each other enough that when I'm talking, you're quiet, and when you're talking, I will let you do that.
Yes,
So
sir.
let me first say this, and then I will again give you an opportunity to talk.
Yes.
Ms. Green will give you a plea form to which you will enter a not guilty plea. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
You then will get a criminal judgment form where you were found guilty and to pay a fine of $430, and they will give you a 2-week agreement that gives you instructions on how to pay it. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, now, sir, there's something you wanted to say. Go ahead.
Never mind. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right, if you will have a seat. Thank you. Thank you, Officer Arnold.
Thank you, Judge Freeman. Am I excused? That's the only matter for today.
You are. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay.
Mr. Prosecutor.